What I want to talk about today has to do with Saturn and the Sun, and the idea that the information we had been told about those bodies, and this also will include the Moon, may very well be another program, another set of false beliefs that we've been given in order to keep the system running as what we'd call the matrix, running as it is. And so I get to tell you what I got about the Sun and Saturn and what may be more of the truth along the line of those. Let's start off with the Sun. We're told the Sun is the center of our solar system, that the Sun is the energy, the life giver, the father of our system, and that the mother is the earth of the system. There are a lot of groups that worship the Sun. They talk about the idea that the Sun in the Bible, S-O-N, is actually referring to the S-U-N, the one in the sky. So we've been directed to give that a lot of respect and a lot of love and focus our energy and attention on it. Saturn, on the other hand, has been given the idea of being associated with Satan. A lot of the so-called elite groups that have worshipped Saturn, and it's been given a negative connotation. It's to do with time and chronos, so we've basically been programmed to look at Saturn as more of a negative energy versus anything else. Yet if you look at some stories from the past, they talk about the idea that Saturn was actually known at one time as the Black Sun. Well, it's not a black sun, but I'll get to what it really is. There's been a lot of talk about the rings, that the rings around Saturn are not a natural phenomenon. And that in between the rings you have different bodies that they call asteroids or rocks that are moving through the areas between these rings, and that they're keeping the rings, those areas clear, they're separating the rings. Well, what I've gotten is that kind of the opposite of what we've been told, that Saturn is, in actuality, the center of our solar system. The Saturn is the Sun. It is the Sun in a fifth dimensional universe. And we as fifth dimensional beings, and again, dimensionals are simply relative terms as to where our consciousness or awareness was. The idea that we decided to experience what we would consider to be a third dimensional realm, i.e. Earth. And that in order to do so, we had to step down our vibration, and Saturn as our Sun had to be stepped down vibrationally as well. So in order to do this, we created what was known as the fourth dimension. And all the entities and beings, the Jehovah's and the others who are inside of and running the fourth dimension, they're not going to 5D, they're not going to 3D. They are in 4D because that's what they were created to run and maintain. And in order to downgrade the vibration of Saturn, the rings and the shapes on the bottom of it were put in place. That was a six-sided figure on the bottom of it, that storm they call it. The rings were put in place, and these little, what they call rocks going around inside the rings, not rocks, it may be simply ships or mechanical devices that are designed to keep the rings in place. And the purpose of the rings, as I said, is to lower the vibration of Saturn, so it no longer appears to be a sun. It's not light anymore, because light would be fifth dimensional. So it has been downgraded vibrationally by the fourth dimensional creation, and the moon was put in place in order to run as a control center, to run that system. Now, there are stories from different cultures that talk about the idea that the moon was not there in a long time and had been moved into position, which is true. The moon was part of the creation in order to project the fourth dimensional down to a third dimensional reality. And the Earth that we are on is considered three-dimensional, but it's actually a veil, what they call a veil, or a covering, a synthetic universe, over top of the fifth dimensional Earth, on which we were, I guess, residents, or awareness was the residents of. The Sun is merely a projection. The Sun may very well be the tunnel of light that people talk about when they have a near-death experience, which, as I've mentioned in my other video, is actually an aspect exchange. But that tunnel may actually be through the Sun to recycle you back into your awareness and consciousness, back into this third dimensional reality. That in order for us to, I guess just say, become aware and step out of this third dimensional reality with our awareness. And remember, we are in all places and all things at this simultaneously. It's simply where our awareness is shifting at the time. That in order to get out of what we call 3D, the matrix, the system. We have to move and change our vibration back to that fifth dimensional vibration, which would then be Saturn would appear as the sun as it's supposed to be, the moon and the sun that we call the sun in the sky would no longer be there, at least for us, because those are three-dimensional, fourth-dimensional objects designed to keep this matrix and this system running. So, in reality, yes, are we in a synthetic, what we call a synthetic unit, a synthetic reality, synthetic overlay, a matrix? Yes, we are. And that, as I mentioned, that was created by 4D in order to create a 3D environment for us to step down vibrationally, which is why the Saturn was called the black sun. Well, it's not really a black sun, but it actually is the sun in the center of the fifth dimensional solar system. And as long as we continue to give our energy to the sun that we see, the earth that we are on, and you look at them as being your mother and father, you are tying yourself to the system because they are strictly what you're viewing, what you're connecting to is strictly a third-dimensional reality controlled by 4D. So if you want to get out, stop giving your energy to the earth and the sun as you see them, and redirect yourself back to changing vibration of Saturn. And you may very well change where your awareness is. Thank you.